thing you always have to do is make sure that your equation is written in standard form, including, if you guys can tuck all your cell phones away, get focused, ready to learn.
I can't wait till we get those cell phones in our eyes.
This very will happen on it. I will have no control.
Those are probably so expensive.
Alright, so make sure it's set equal to 0 and then it's in standard form. So ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is used for when your quadratic is not factorable. Now, if you tried to use a quadratic formula on a factorable one, it would still work. It works for all the quadratics. But this is just another tool that you'll have in your toolkit to solve. We're going to identify what A, B, and C is, and then we're going to substitute them into the formula. You have your formula written out right here, but of course you have it memorized after listening to those songs. Right?
It's embedded in the
And
camera.
there we go.
No,
He's
you,
gonna be humming it all day.
no, you want to know what is embedded in? So I have two parts on right.
Oh, great.
I have like the rubbish bin. I have the useful knowledge.
Alright, let's go on. Alright, what is A equal in number 1? 1, very good. What is B equal? 2 and C. Very good. Now notice I'm not worried about what the x squared. We're leaving that out. We're just taking the values. And we're going to put it into the quadratic formula to figure out what x is equal to. It's very important that it's not equal to 0 and that you have your correct A, B, and C.
How are you supposed to solve it when there's a plus or minus? Where's the plus or minus button on your calculator?
Great question.
Is there a plus or minus button on your calculator?
No.
Oh.
Alright, so my negative b, that's going to become negative 2. I'm just plugging it in right now. Plus or minus, and there's no plus or minus on our calculator. B squared, so 2 squared, minus 4. Our A value is 1. Our C value is negative 63. All over 2a. So all I did is I replaced my A, B, and C with the values from that particular equation. What I want you to do is first do what's underneath the radical sign. So your calculators do 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 63. And then tell me what you get. What is 2 squared minus 4? Perfect. Make sure everybody is getting 256. And I'm going to go ahead and simplify 2 times 1. It is positive 256.
I go to the bathroom real quick.
You sure you want this one?
Yeah. After this problem, I go to the bathroom.
Alright, is everybody getting 256 in their calculators? I'm sure you can do that. What is the square root of 256? 16. Very good. Now you're going to write negative 2 plus or minus 16 divided by 2. And here's where the plus or minus breaks apart. So you have two equations there. You have negative 2 plus 16. Well, what is negative 2 plus 16? So we have 14 divided by 2. What is 14 divided by 2? And then separately, you're going to minus.
Oh, you're 18. Negative 18. You have negative 18. By 2.
Negative 2 by 16, right. So negative 18 divided by 2 would give you? So the two values are 7 and negative 9. Yep.
Like how do you want us to write it in S?
Oh, good question. Just like this.
Wait, are we done with the topic before? There's no more imaginary numbers?
You will get imaginary numbers with it then.
Oh.
Because you could have a negative underneath that radical. So we're just going to continue on.
We're doing this before.
I do too. I don't think this is that.
Yes.
This should go quick.
I get that.
Oh, sure. You don't feel good about this, Ethan? Alright, let's do number 3 together. What do we have to do first to number 3 before we can do anything? What's that?
Oh wait, no, you could still want over.
Very good. We're going to subtract 1. That's going to give us negative x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Now we can identify our A, B, and C. What is A equal to? Good. And what is B equal to? And then C. Okay. We're going to put this all into the quadratic formula. We're going to have opposite of B, so x is equal to -2 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ab all over 2a. Is everybody okay with how I'm plugging that in? Feel like this is a review for some of you guys? It became -1. Your a value is -1 when you have negative x squared.
Then what's the negative one go?
Which -1 are you talking about? For the x?
Negative x.
Yeah, so that means our a value is -1. Because that's the coefficient of x squared is your a value. It'd be like if you had 2x squared, your a value would be 2. And then our b value is 2, and our c value happens to be -1 as well. Does that make sense? Alright, first, what is 2 squared minus 4 times -1 times -1? What did you get? 0, very good. So we have x is equal -2 plus or minus the square root of 0 is just 0. Is everybody okay with that? Let's skip to that. The -2 on the bottom. Now whether we're adding or subtracting 0, we're just going to have -2. What is -2 divided by -2? So in this one, when you have 0 underneath the square root, you only have one answer. And that's when that parabola is sitting on the x-axis, if you remember those. So the answer is just 1. Does that make sense why there's only one answer? Oh. What'd you say? What do you think it's going to be?
0.
Oh, like an imaginary? This one won't be imaginary. You want me to find an imaginary?
Yeah.
At least
The next one's factorable?
Yeah, number 5. Okay.
at least 6 would be enough.
You can solve it by taking square roots. We're going to use the quadratic just because that's the section we're in. I would not want you in real life though to use the quadratic for this. Does that make sense? But I want you to see what happens with it.
Why?
You can solve by taking square roots for this one.
So what you mean? So do it like +1.
Yes. But we're not going to do that because I want you to see what happens and how you handle it. Does that make
I
sense?
didn't then square root.
You could do that because you would have difference of squares, right?
Yeah, I didn't do
In all three of those methods, you'll get the same answer.
So on a test.
What's that?
So on a test. Could you do those or would you?
It depends on what the title of the section is. If it says to solve by factoring, you'd have to do your difference of squares. If it says to solve by square root, you'd add the 1 over. If it says quadratic formula, you have to use quadratic formula. Alright, so first we're going to subtract the 24 over. So we get 9x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. What is my a value? 9. What is my b value? It is 0, and that's what I want you to understand about this part. There's no middle term, so it's a 0. Then your c value, I'm so sorry, Elena. Your c value would be, what'd you say? How's that sound? Problem.
I don't know.
We're good?
Yeah.
Caitlin?
Yeah, good.
Oh, I thought you had a question. Alright, so now we're going to put it into the quadratic formula. So x is equal to -b plus or minus the square root. B squared minus 4ab all over 2. write down 0 because negative 0 really bothers me. What is 0 squared minus 4 times 9 times negative 25?
Negative whatever. 4 times 9 times negative 45 is.
What is that?
36.
900, good. So we have it over 18. What is the square root of 900? 30, good. So I'm going to drop off the 0, so it doesn't matter if you're adding or subtracting. So we do have a plus and minus. And what does that reduce to?
Is it 5 or 8?
Yeah, one more.
Okay.